I'm Melissa Shanahan, and this is the Velocity Work Podcast, episode number 44. This podcast is for attorneys who are running their own firms. We explore tactics, tools, and stories related to pushing past simply lawyering well and into building a successful firm. Working in your firm and working on your business are two very different things. This podcast focuses on the latter. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode. I hope you are having a fantastic week. First week of June is down. This is the last month of this quarter. I hope you are all thinking about that, thinking about how you can finish this quarter strong so that you can enter into quarter three in a really great way. It's a really great time. June is always a pretty exciting month for all the clients that I work with, which is fantastic. We are gearing up. We are for retreats and work in private client work with rounding out quarter two. We are well underway with the June mastery groups, which is implementing everything that was learned in a daily accountability format from the class that I taught a couple weeks ago, which was how to trade being busy for actual results. It is all just moving and grooving, and everybody is making fantastic headway, which is very exciting. Now, today we're going to talk about a topic that is really brought to the forefront in this daily accountability group, this June mastery groups that I'm leading. Here is how it's coming up. You know, the idea is these people are accountable to implement what we call Monday mapping, to implement what we call a Friday close, and for making headway every day towards a high priority or a priority that they've named, that they've constrained down to this one priority for June that they are going to get done. No more on the back burner, no more watering it down with other priorities. Like, this is it. They're going to get this thing done. And it's pretty big. All of them working on big things that are going to free them up so that they can spend their time more on the business than in the business. They're making headway towards that. They're making headway towards results in their business, being result creators. And Monday mapping is essentially you do this brain download where you download everything from your brain onto a sheet of paper about what needs to happen that week in your business, but then also in your personal life. So for instance, on my most recent Monday map, I have write a podcast outline, record the podcast, make a private Facebook group page for the June mastery groups. Like, I have things that I'm working through, but also for work, but then also I have order my Sephora goods that I need to order these things from Amazon, because if I don't do that and I just dive into my week, I'm probably going to forget that for a couple days and then remember, and then I might have already needed those things. And so everything that's in your head, get it out of your head and onto paper. And once you have your brain download and everything is out of your head and onto paper for what needs to happen that week, what's top of mind for you that you would like to happen that week, then you got to go schedule time for those things. Then you got to put it in your calendar. And this is where it sounds great because and I'll make a case for that in a minute, but it's difficult to do. It's difficult to get your brain on board to do it. And that is what I want to talk about today, is calendaring. Calendaring is very important because you should be living by this idea that if it isn't on your calendar, it's not going to happen. And if it's not going to happen, then let's just be honest about that. And that's why it's not on your calendar. People's calendars, when I have a peek at people's calendars, they are typically a misrepresentation of what can be accomplished in this time frame. And so sometimes they'll have way too many things in their calendar. And I had a client recently, she's probably listening to this. I loved when she said, my calendar is already so swollen. That is such a perfect way to explain or to describe what I've seen so many clients' calendars looking like, where they're swollen, right? There's too many things in the calendar. And so it's bursting. And the thing to remember about that is you need to take full responsibility for how you plan your time and how you move through your time. And when you say my calendar is already swollen, that is almost like saying that it's just a fact that it's a reality for you. It's just happening to you. It's just a thing that you have to deal with. And instead, you need to start to shift your language to, if that is you, if you're in her camp where that's where the way you feel about your calendar, you need to switch your language to, I am swelling my calendar. I am like, you're the one that's doing it, right? And so you've got to start, and really what that means when you have a swollen calendar, that essentially means that your calendar there's zero chance that it's realistic to do what you have put down in your calendar to do. And that is a problem. There isn't any truth there. There's no honesty there. And so you've got to get very honest about what is possible with the time that you have. That is what a calendar is for, so that you can move through it. And so if you have a bunch of stuff crammed into your calendar, which makes it not possible to move through the time in the way that you have it calendared, what are you doing? It's almost like it's a dumping ground for things so that you don't forget, right? The better way to handle this is to take your brain download that you do at the beginning of every week, and you should schedule time for the priorities and giving the right amount of time to the best of your ability, the guesstimates, right? The right amount of time for those priorities and put those in your calendar. If there's a bunch of little things, like for instance, I said I need to order things from Sephora, I need to order things from Amazon. That's a small example. I can put a small window on my calendar for when I'm going to do tasky things like that. And I can just think through, it'll probably take me 5 minutes to order that on Amazon, 5 minutes to order that on Sephora. Maybe I have a couple of other things that are going to take 10 minutes each, right? So there's like a 10-minute, 10-minute, 5-minute tasks that I'm going to batch together. So I've got, what is that? That's 30 minutes. I need to just put a 30-minute window to knock out these things this week. And maybe it's in your work hours. Maybe it's at night when you put on your calendar for yourself to do. Maybe it's in the morning before you get your day going. It doesn't matter, but you put it on your calendar for when exactly you're going to do it, when it makes sense for you to do it. And then your job is to show up and honor your calendar. Your calendar is your plan. That's the way you should look at this. It is your plan for the week. And your job is to show up and honor your plan. Now, there's a lot of things that have to go in your calendar. And what you'll probably start to see, which is what most people start to see, is it doesn't all fit the way you want it to fit. There isn't enough time to do everything that feels like it needs to be done. Well, you have an option. You can either get very honest about that, take a step back, and decide what's highest priority and it needs to go first. And everything that can't get accomplished this week, you put on next week on your schedule because it's important enough. It needs to be gotten to soon, but it's not top priority. So maybe it's not going to fit in this week. It's almost like a puzzle. You got to move the pieces around until this actually works for you. And the problem that most people run into is that everything feels so urgent. And so they throw it all in anyway. But what happens is at the end of the week, they're extremely disappointed in themselves, in the results that were created, because it was impossible. It was impossible to live up to what you put in the calendar. Why? Why do that? You have to ask yourself that. So this is about operating differently and shifting into operating differently. Now, when you're first doing this and when you're first committing to, I'm going to make a plan that makes sense in my calendar, that I can actually accomplish to the best of my ability. Like, I think that this is what I can accomplish this week. I might be wrong, but this is what I'm going to try and this is what I'm going to do. And so you start to do that and you get in and you build out your calendar, your plan, and you show up every day and you honor to the best of your ability what you said you were going to do in your calendar. And at the end of the week, instead of either allowing a bunch of drama in your mind to happen, like, well, that didn't go well, I was totally thrown off, like this doesn't work. No. Don't say that. It either went well and you're going to like celebrate for that, which there will be some things that go well, or you're going to look at what didn't work and you're going to figure out what lessons you need to carry forward so that the next week it's a little bit better. You're a little bit more on track. And then that end of that week, you're going to do the same thing and you're going to look back and you're going to evaluate what went really well. What are you really proud of? What needs to make it onto next week's calendar because you didn't get to it, but you plan to? And then most importantly, why didn't you get to it? What was the thing that threw you off? Was it a lack of self-discipline with sticking to your calendar? Or was it that something took a lot longer than you thought and had to be done? And so you didn't really allot enough time to it? Okay, good to know. You're going to shift how you think about that as you move forward. Every week, you'll get better and better and better and better at this. And you become the kind of person who can handle a lot and honor their word with when they say they're going to do something, they get it. It's as good as done when they put it in their calendar. And right now, so many of the people that I come in contact with initially, it's always like the best of intentions. Their calendar is swollen. And that's okay. There's no judgment. There's no reason to have judgment on that. But if you want to start to shift into the kind of person that can have the kind of business that you want to have and have the kind of life that you want to have as you run this business, you have got to take control over your calendar and over how you move through time. This is important. And people, it's like the best of intentions and it's easy to sweep under the rug and but you've got to stick with this. So with that being said, I had a coach once that told me, you've got to be willing to suck at it. Talking about anytime you embark on something new and you want to get good at something, you have to be willing to suck at it. And when you show up and you suck at it, the next week you suck a little bit less, and the next week you suck a little bit less. And eventually you start to become pretty good at it. It's the same thing with this exercise. If you want to be the kind of person who honors your time, you have got to be willing to suck at this going forward, but stay committed to the process because it will pay off. What won't pay off is if you stay spinning in the same swollen calendar. It's always like a crapshoot. What is going to get done by the end of the week? And it's almost like you start the week, you look at your calendar, it's swollen all over the place. So the best way to deal with that is thinking, if I close my eyes and I think of an image, I think of someone like closing their eyes and like putting down their head and just running into the week. And then at the end of the week, they lift their head and they're like, how'd that go? That is not the way you want your life to be. So slow your roll. Do a brain download at the beginning of every week and calendar each of those things that you deem important that should be in your calendar. That is how you should spend your time. It needs to be accomplished. Put those in your calendar. I'm not going to go into it in depth right now, but delegate what you can, right? Get things off your plate. And when you start to be more disciplined with calendaring this way, you become more disciplined about delegating when you should, because then you don't have to, sorry, I lost my train of thought. You don't have to, you realize like, I only have so much time. These are the top priorities. I need help. I can't do it all. I literally can't do it all. And if I say I'm going to do it all, that is when my calendar gets swollen. So you start to learn to delegate. You start to learn to prioritize, and you start to learn to honor your commitments to yourself and those that you're creating deliverables sometimes in your calendar for other people. Those people can start to rely on that, and everything just works more smoothly. Now, does anybody do this perfectly? No. I mean, some people are pretty darn good at it, but no one does it perfectly. So don't think that, I'm not talking about perfection. I'm talking about making progress. So focus on progress, not perfection, which another way to say that is be willing to get the B- for the work, not the A+. Like there is no perfection here. But be willing to go through it. Be willing to learn, stay committed to this process. You will 100% get better results if you do. And on a side note, I don't work with people who don't make an effort to do this. I don't care if they're perfect at it at all. Actually, that would be weird. It's like a robot. But I do care that they work towards this because it provides so much freedom if you get it right. So, yeah, like be the kind of person that where you make a plan and you work to stick to it. And sometimes you stick to it really great. And sometimes it's not. It's going to go, like the wheels are going to come off, and then that's your chance to take the lessons and carry them forward. There's no reason to just throw your hands in the air and this doesn't work for me. No, you're not working it. You need to work it. You need to take control. And the second that you start to throw your arms up, that's basically saying, I can't control it, which is a lie. So get honest with yourself, do a brain download at the beginning of every week, and then schedule everything on your brain download into your calendar, batch things as necessary, and then start to show up and honor that plan. There's more advanced ways to, like, once you just start doing that and you start practicing that and you get that down, there's some advanced topics within calendaring that we could talk about, but that is it in a nutshell. And so if you are listening to this and you know there's like this little something inside you saying like, I know I need to get better at that, then no better time than now. Start now. Do a brain download and schedule it all. And the stuff that doesn't fit, you have to decide, can I delegate it? Does it kick something else out of my week to actually focus on it? Where does it go? But you can't double book yourself for things, and you need to make sure you're allotting the appropriate amount of time for something to the best of your ability. Sometimes you have to guess and you make a really smart guess at it, and sometimes you're wrong, but you need to do your best with calendaring that. Okay. I feel like I'm going to just basically, I need to get off my soapbox with this, but it's a topic worth considering. If you have questions or you're curious about this, I mean, we are digging deep into it with June mastery groups, the people who've signed up for that. We are really working through this, and they're making a lot of headway. And they are shifting, and they are starting to operate differently. They are starting to use their brain differently. If this is something that interests you at all, or if you have questions about it, feel free to shoot me an email, because the more I learn about the questions you have about it, the better I can address it, right? So feel free to reach out. Melissa@velocitywork.com. Have a wonderful rest of your week, everyone, and I will see you next Tuesday. Hi guys, it's me again. Thank you so much for listening. If you like this podcast, you probably understand that growth requires results, not just staying active. If you want to learn how to build your days around getting results, I'll show you how in this zero fluff class that I teach. Go to velocitywork.com/results for registration information. I cannot wait to see you there. If you want to hang out with us on social, come on over to Instagram. Our handle is velocity.work. And on Facebook, it's facebook.com/meetvelocitywork. Cheers, my friends, to real growth and a great life. Show notes from this episode can be found at velocitywork.com/podcast.